Why are the world's biggest tech CEOs testifying before the US Congress? What role did misinformation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube play in the January 6 riot? And what do these companies say in their defense? Make sure to keep watching as we will discuss the answers to these questions. The siege on the US Capitol, bogus promises of COVID-19 cures, and baseless rumors about vaccines are evidently widespread throughout social media. A really good question pops out. Who should be held accountable for the spread of hoaxes and extremism online? The CEOs of three influential tech companies, Facebook, Google, and Twitter, tried to answer that question, and more about how their platforms handle misinformation and its most damaging consequences when they appeared before Congress on the 25th of March this year. The three executives aren't new to testifying before Congress though. Just last summer, CEOs of Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Apple were grilled over antitrust concerns. And then late last year, Republicans called the same trio to testify specifically on Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And this time, many used the strategy of asking a simple yes or no question in an attempt to pin down some of the world's richest and most powerful men. According to researchers who track misinformation, the allegations that the presidential race was stolen and calls for violence swirl across social media platforms in the wake of November's election ultimately culminated the storming of the Capitol on the day President Joe Biden's victory was certified. Remarkably, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey submitted to the notion that the site bears some responsibility in the storming of the US Capitol on January 6. This is in response to the question made by Pennsylvania Representative Mike Doyle as to whether their platforms had contributed to the spread of misinformation and the planning of attack. As Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg and Google's Sundar Pichai did not answer with a yes or no.
I want to start by asking all three of you if your platform bears some responsibility for disseminating disinformation related to the election and the Stop the Steal movement that led to the attack on the Capitol. Just a yes or no answer. Mr. Zuckerberg.
Chairman, I think our responsibility is to build systems that can help.
Mr. Zuckerberg, I just want a yes or no answer, okay? Yes or no, do you bear some responsibility for what happened?
Congressman, our responsibility is to make sure that we build effective systems to help fight the spread of this.
Is not to answer the question. Mr. Pichai, yes or no?
We always feel a deep sense of responsibility, but I think we worked hard. This election effort was one of our most substantive efforts.
Is that a yes or a no?
Congressman, it's a complex question.
Okay, we'll move on.
Mr. Dorsey took a different tactic.
Yes, but you also have to take into consideration a broader ecosystem. It's not just about the technology platforms we use.
Thank you, and I agree with that.
This would appear to be the first public acknowledgement by a top social media executive of the influence of the platforms on the riot. The CEOs highlighted the steps they've already taken to curb misinformation, while also emphasizing that their platforms mirror the problems of society at large. In his opening statement, Mark Zuckerberg said,
"The reality is our country is deeply divided right now, and that isn't something that tech companies alone can fix. We all have a part to play in helping to turn things around, and I think that starts with taking a hard look at how we got here. Some people say that the problem is that social networks are polarizing us, but that's not at all clear from the evidence or research. Polarization was rising in America long before social networks were even invented, and it's falling or stable in many other countries where social networks are popular. Others claim that algorithms feed us content that makes us angry because it's good for business, but that's not accurate either. I believe that the division we see today is primarily the result of a political and media environment that drives Americans apart. And we need to reckon with that if we're going to make progress. Now, I know that technology can help bring people together. We see it every day on our platforms. Facebook is successful because people have a deep desire to connect and share, not to stand apart and fight. And we believe that connectivity and togetherness are more powerful ideals than division and discord, and that technology can be part of the solution to the challenges our society is facing. And we are ready to work with you to move beyond hearings and get started on real reform. Thank you.
A fact cannot be denied. America is deeply divided, probably too divided even for the biggest corporations to handle. So maybe it's about time for higher authorities to intervene. Actually, it's the entire world. It's the internet after all. We all have a stake in this issue. This doesn't only concern US citizens. Take note, with the internet, we're all citizens of it. Whatever the regulation changes would be for these internet sites, our online lifestyles are bound to change as well. As diverse as the entire world, I'm sure each of us has a say on this one. But let's try to hear from US lawmakers' perspectives. Here are some.
This is the first time the three of you have appeared before Congress since the deadly attack on the Capitol on January 6th. That event was not just an attack on our democracy and our electoral process, but an attack on every member of this committee and in the Congress. Many of us were on the House floor and in the Capitol when that attack occurred, and we were forced to stop our work of certifying the election and retreat to safety. Some of us wearing gas masks and fearing for our lives. We fled as a mob desecrated the Capitol, the House floor, and our democratic process. People died that day, and hundreds were seriously injured. That attack and the movement that motivated started and was nourished on your platforms. Your platform suggested groups for people to join, videos they should view, and posts they should like, driving this movement forward with terrifying speed and efficiency. FBI documents show that many of these individuals used your platforms to plan, recruit, and execute this attack. Now, understand this, you can take this content down. You can reduce division. You can fix this, but you choose not to. We saw your platforms remove ISIS terrorist content. We saw you tamp down on COVID misinformation at the beginning of the pandemic. And we have seen disinformation drop when you have promoted reliable news sources and removed serial disinformation super spreaders from your platform. You have the means, but time after time, you are picking engagement and profit over the health and safety of your users, our nation, and our democracy. These are serious issues, and to be honest, it seems like you all just shrug off billion-dollar fines. Your companies need to be held accountable. We need rules, regulations, technical experts in government, and audit authority of your technologies. Ours is the committee of jurisdiction, and we will legislate to stop this. The stakes are simply too high.
I have 2 daughters and a son with a disability. Let me be clear. I do not want you defining what is true for them. I do not want their future manipulated by your algorithms. I do not want their self-worth defined by the engagement tools you built to attract their attention. I do not want them to be in danger from what you've created. I do not want their emotions and vulnerabilities taken advantage of so you can make more money and have more power. I'm sure most of my colleagues on this committee who are parents and grandparents feel the same way. Over 20 years ago, before we knew what big tech would become, Congress gave you liability protections. I want to know, why do you think you still deserve those protections today? What will it take for your business model to stop harming children? I know I speak for millions of moms when I say we need answers, and we will not rest until we get them. Thank you.
In the next video, we'll be tackling the dangers of unregulated big tech. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on our latest videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.